go. Here we go. Twitch is on. Should be. There's that funky slide guitar music. Comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Newswire, Facebook, Twitch, and Jesse's favorite YouTube. Of that, he's waiting for the day we get kicked off of there again for the 9,476 time. What time? Do you know? Flip your mic on. You know what time or how many times we get it before we're permanently banned on YouTube?
You know what? That's a good question.
You gotta find out. How many times have we been kicked off of there?
I think we've been banned twice.
I wonder if it's 3 strikes you're out. Check that out. We're going to look at that. Hopefully Eddie George got his phones fixed, and he'll be on. That later on, we'll have Dylan Rumble. He'll be running at Paris Raceway and the Speedway bikes out there for British Round Racing 2. We'll get into all of that. First thing I want to get to, flip me number 4, please, real quick. Suspect who smashed into barrier at the U.S. Capitol identified as Noah Green. Here we go. He is gunned down. They gunned him down. He hit 2 officers, 1 critically injured, 1 died. As it's reported here in the New York Post, he is a Nation of Islam devotee from Indiana, according to reports of social media. There is the aforementioned suspect in the Capitol shooting, Noah Green. It seems like these shootings are coming on like every hour on the hour, going on that. Strange we're not hearing a lot about him because, as we showed you the picture of that, just the picture of the man going on. I wonder why there's not a big ruckus going on about the evils of the Nation of Islam or Louis Farrakhan or his supporters are doing this, that, and the other. We'll get into that in this, maybe now, maybe later on that. But we finally hooked up. He finally got his phone fixed. I was looking at, just before I came on, as I was firing stuff up, I'm looking at Eddie George at the phone repair shop somewhere getting his phone fixed. And I think he got it, he finally got it done because here he is, that crazy guy with the lazy eye from Headline News, Eddie George. Welcome to Newswire, Roy.
Hey, what's up, Roy? Yeah, I mean, I got it done just in the nick of time, too. I walked out the door about a minute before you weren't live. So. But, yeah, I mean, I've been out doing, news coverage. A lot of times, I'll use my cell phone. I use an iPhone 11. So, a lot of times, I get on scene. I just don't have enough time to get my camera all booted up. I'll just grab my cell phone and get the coverage. And every time I do it, my live streams are all fuzzy and they're foggy. And I just had the phone repaired at another shop, and I guess that didn't do a good job. So I had to come down to the phone doctor, and now it's working like a champ. Fixed within just a few minutes. You've seen how quick that live stream was. So
yes.
Now I got a good camera. Hopefully we'll try it out tonight. So.
How many times a day do you drop the phone?
I lose count, Roy. It's either I drop it, or I sit on it, break the screen, or I leave it on top of the vehicle going down the road about 190 mile an hour, and it falls up. No, I don't go that fast. I'm just joking, folks. But yeah, I go through phones. I'm hell on phones. So. I'm glad I got a good doctor on my hands.
You go 99, you keep it under 100.
99.9, right?
There you go. Yeah, as long as you don't get into that triple digits, you're cool on that.
That's it. Or unless you don't get caught.
Gonna run this short video, saw this on that, and you just can't leave Eddie George alone on this. This is him, a police officer-involved shooting, which we're going to get into another one on that, too, or they released, the Sheriff's Department did. Here we go on Him at iNews for about a minute clip. Eddie George is everywhere. Here we go.
Medical aid for a gunshot wound to the head.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live over here at the Sears parking lot over here at the Hemet Valley Mall. I was actually sitting there listening outside. I just at a friend's house, and all of a sudden I heard 5 shots start popping off, and I was like, holy crap. So I called 911 and told them what we heard, and they advised us that was actually their officers. So I'm like, okay, we got an officer-involved shooting. So what happened was this was a routine traffic stop, and the guy started shooting at the sergeant, and he took off, and they ended up chasing him. They got him at gunpoint, and they have him now on the ground.
He has a gunshot wound to the head.
He's got a gunshot wound to the head. We just now heard from Tina with Hemet Crime Society.
So I'm beginning to think you don't follow the crimes follow you, Eddie George. How do you seem to be on the scene when this stuff happens?
Well, sometimes we get on scenes before the police even get there. A lot of times with special accidents and stuff, there's times we got there and direct traffic for the police until they get there, and sometimes, we're right around the corner, when we're staged out, we'll be out riding around, listening to the radio, and then all of a sudden a call come in, and it's like, right there at us. So we get the good shots. Sometimes we're late, sometimes we're early, to the scenes. I do want to do a retraction or an update on that. When that call came out and everything, and the information started coming to us, it was a confusing scenario. The guy did not shoot at the police officer. We did an update on that. The guy actually assaulted the police officer with his vehicle. He tried to approach the vehicle, and I guess the guy tried to run over the cop, and then it was the officers that started open firing. So the shots were fired by PD, and I guess one of the shots got the guy in the head. He ended up crashing over there on where the Sears is, where you just played that video at. He crashed into a light pole and tried to flee on foot. And, you seen they got physical. The guy was transported to the hospital. What we did here last, he was on life support in a coma. So we don't know any more updates on that. But, it's still, you try to assault a police officer with your vehicle, they try to stop you. It's no matter what kind of warrants you have, it's not worth dying over. It's not worth putting somebody else's life at risk trying to either run from the cops or, fight the cops, because you're not going to win. It's going to come out, to a bad tragedy like this. And the guy only had a misdemeanor. I think it was a traffic warrant or something. I mean, he wouldn't just probably,
Yeah, they'd have probably just booked him and released him on the scene, or, booked him and released him on a bar.
So now he's on life support because of a stupid decision.
It's like this one today at clear across the coast at the Capitol, where this supporter of Farrakhan, just mows down 2 cops, kills one of them with his car, another one critically injured. And the cops wound up shooting him. But like I say, this crazy stuff just keeps it's correct me if I'm wrong, but this stuff seems like it's coming on it's like every hour you're getting another stupid, a story like this. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to blame it on the COVID. I mean, COVID's getting blamed for everything, right?
It's funny you should say that, of going back and forth. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I want to play this other one. This was last month. And the Sheriff's Department released the video of this genius who pulls what turned out to be a BB gun, but once you see it, it looks just like a normal semi-auto handgun. We're going to play a little bit of this clip out in the low desert. Here we go.
Hey, cool.
Shoot me.
Hey, turn around. Turn around. Turn around.
Shoot me.
Turn around.
Shoot me or I will shoot you.
Hey. No! Hey!
They're going to be in a beige Hyundai Santa Fe.
Medical, we got one down, shots fired. Everything's okay.
Here is a replay of the suspect's actions at half speed.
So you just heard Chad Bianco, and you're seeing it in slow motion. Now, what I'm wondering here is why the cop didn't shoot him right there. He's lucky he's alive. If the guy really wanted to kill him, right
The
there...
suspect, Royce Javon Robertson, a 33-year-old resident of Joshua Tree, died at the scene. The weapon recovered at the scene was a Crossman full-auto P1 4.5mm BB.
So, yes, it's a Crossman BB gun, but if you look at it, it looks exactly like any 9mm 45 handgun on that. And again, I want to go back to that when he pulls it in slow motion on there, if we can roll it up, and where he's doing it. Yes, right here. Right at that point, I don't know why the cop wasn't fired, because it takes about 2 or 3 or 4 seconds after this before the cop finally fires. What concerns me, and I mean, I'm sure there's probably a reason for it, but I mean, if I was a cop or anybody, if that point, and I mean, he should have, when he said shoot me and all this stuff, yada yada, the man should. I don't know, you're not seeing the officer, but he should have had his weapon out. If he didn't, that would kind of explain why it took the 2 or 3 seconds. But if that was a real gun, and the guy was really, it obvious, or seems pretty obvious, it was, suicide by cop. He didn't want to kill himself because he's saying shoot me, or I'm going to shoot you, type of thing. I mean, he's obviously isn't man enough to take his own life, so he's doing the really coward way out of trying to make a cop kill him. But like I say, right there, that situation, I mean, that whole thing was just like bizarre, Eddie.
And I've seen comments on some of those posts, Roy, where people were bashing the cop for shooting him. You should have used less than lethal. Well, a cop has got family. He's planning on coming home that night. And anybody that's going to pull a weapon on a cop, even though it's fake, the cop don't have time to determine if that's a real gun or not. When your life is on the line as an officer, you're trained to make the right decision as quick as possible, and you point a gun at a cop, that cop's planning, hey, I got a wife and family I'm coming home to. I'm not dying tonight. So, they have to take the measures they have to take, to do what they got to do. And, like I say, Roy, you play stupid games, you pull a cop or a gun on a cop, knowing that it's not real, that cop don't know, and he don't have time to make a decision if it's a real or not, so I call that a justified shooting.
Yes, and again, I think he's... Again, I would be curious to know if the cop was drawed on him before or at that point when he's making I'm going to shoot me before I shoot you, and that's before he's reaching into his pocket. I mean, the cop should have had that, and like I say, at that point where the gun is sideways, I mean, in my world, the cop should have been firing on him at that point because, like I say, it takes 2 to 3 seconds. He's getting it out, holding at him, and if he wasn't, if that was a real handgun, not a BB gun that looks like one, and the guy was, a threat, that cop would have probably been dead.
Yeah. So I'm glad it ended the way it did, and the officer was okay. Maybe I feel the officer was probably hoping to give the guy a chance,
And he's lucky in this situation, in this particular one. The next guy might not be that lucky, and that's what concerns me on that deal. On that, to prove that Hemet isn't the only one that has these things. We had a big bust yesterday. U.S. Attorney's Office, one of the biggest meth busts in U.S. history. Man from Paris was arrested leading a ring. He had it stashed in Moreno Valley and Paris, and it appears in some reports in Whittier on that that he's going on. Here's the Channel 4 report. We're going to play a little bit of a clip on this. Here we go.
One of the largest in U.S. history. Today, local agents showed off that illegal stash, including meth in bags stacked 10 feet high.
These drugs were found in 25 duffel bags ready for distribution.
DEA agents say a tip from an informant led to this, one of the largest seizures of methamphetamine in U.S. history.
These 2 seizures are more than enough to provide a dose of meth for every man, woman, and child in the United States and Mexico.
More than 5,200 pounds of meth hidden in stash houses in Moreno Valley and Paris and at the Mexican border near San Diego.
Meth is pouring into the United States through our southern border. And
that's all you needed. That's all I needed to hear right there, the confirmation. Meth, enough meth for a dose for every man, woman, and child in America coming across the border, stashed right here in the Inland Empire, going from here clear across the country to New York. If there was ever, if you count out everything else, if there wasn't a reason for building the wall, securing our border, and supporting our border police protecting us, I don't know what is, Eddie George. Are you there? I think we
That was a messed up situation.
Yes, it was. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, enough meth they recovered that was brought in across from Mexico to here, stored in the Inland Empire, and then went from here clear across the nation, and Joe Biden's letting them pour across here almost unrestricted.
Yep, Trump built the wall, and he's tearing them down and letting them in.
And I mean, we're going to, if we keep this policy up, this is what we're going to get more of. And where is it going to flow? And who's going to bear the brunt of it? You see right here. You're going to see more of this. You want to see the drug wars, the gang wars heat up like you ain't never seen. Let this stuff continue.
I agree with you. This world's coming to a hell in a handbasket, Roy.
It is no problem of that. And, you know, Mr. Gavin Newsom was on his little tour today, saying, oh, we're going to open up concerts at 10%, this, and maybe if you get into that, and here's just a quote out of that on KTLA 5. If venues separate people into sections, people in the fully vaccinated section can sit shoulder to shoulder, but they must wear masks, according to the state public health officer, Thomas Aragon. This is really going to be a pathway among venues to meet capacity limits. So what we're really down to is being taught like kids again. 10% capacity, but if they can verify that everybody's fully vaccinated, we might bump it up to 25%. Yada, 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 yada. I'm going to run this other clip here of Dr. Kelly Victory. She posted this. This is Chris Como, who just got $4 million for a book deal from CNN with Dr. Leanne Wen on to further back up what
it's clear to them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. And the window to do that is really narrowing. I mean, you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%. And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine? So that's why I think the CDC and the Biden administration needs to come out a lot bolder and say, if you're vaccinated, you can do all these things. Here are all these freedoms that you have. Because otherwise, people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway.
You don't have freedoms when the government is telling you what, why, how to do, when you can go, where you can go, how you can do. This lady is totally does not understand the word freedoms. Freedoms is not government control. Freedoms is what we had prior to March 2020. And that's why I read the first one from Gavin Newsom today on that. Texas, 3 weeks ago, Gavin Newsom called Texas Governor Greg Abbott reckless and for lifting the mask mandate, and it's going to kill a bunch of people, Armageddon. In the past 2 weeks since that issue has been in Texas, and comparing it to California, Texas has had less deaths from COVID per capita than California, yet we're still under this BS, Eddie George.
Jeb, your freedom done went out the window, dude. It ain't going to be no freedom anymore. They're even talking about, oh, well, if you don't take the COVID, they're already coming up with this idea of showing, a method on how, you can prove that you've got COVID, the shots and everything. And you don't have that proof, you won't be able to renew your driver's license. You won't be able to go into stores. I mean, come on, folks. Where's this leading to?
Exactly. That's what, I mean, you're going to, they're setting this up of that 100%. Of their, they're testing. I mean, this is my thesis on this whole thing. They're testing to see if they can get a majority of the people to buy into this BS of that. And if they do, if they can, when they figure they've got this, and I think they're getting pretty close, or they're trying to. This is what they're saying, because why would you going on this yo-yo cycle of, oh, well, yeah, you can open up a little bit and this, and then we take it away, and then maybe this, and we're doing that, and the tier system and all this other crap is, they're just setting you up on that. And 5 governors, that's reported in the California Globe, 5 governors are under investigation for this whole deal under the COVID and sending them back into the nursing homes. It's California Governor Gavin Newsom, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf. All liberal enclave yo-hos practicing the control deal of where they sent nursing home patients with the COVID back from the hospital back into the nursing homes. When Gavin Newsom and Andrew Cuomo had ships, we sent Mercy ships with 1,000 beds apiece, and they stuck up their nose and did not put one person in there when this started. It's not about your health. It's not about anything else but seeing how much they can make a slave out of you, Eddie George. And
controlling, that's what it's a control. I've been saying this all along. People say I'm stupid for it, but you know what? That's their opinion, and I have my opinion, and my opinion is I think it's all about control.
It is, and it's coming each and every day of this. If we continue to let the human traffickers in, or close our restaurants down, or like they're doing, you don't think that stuff in L.A., with Gascon and letting out and not prosecuting anybody? I'll give you a little history. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeating it. 94, Antonio Villarosa, Tony Villar Jr., also known as, was the mayor. His plan to eliminate crime in L.A. was empty the L.A. prisons and give them bus tickets to San Bernardino and Riverside. Well, San Bernardino let him stay, or didn't oust him out, and you see what happened there. Riverside at least ousted him out, and you know where they sent him to? They shuffled him up to the line of Moreno Valley and out to Hemet, San Jacinto, and you want to see what the effects this have had for 20 to 30 years of doing this? You might not be paying attention to what's going on in L.A., but if we continue to strip down our police officers where they can't do anything, or if they do arrest them, they won't, they stop, like the people in Riverside. For over a year, they bought a house, the person won't come out, and the cops said, if you were in Arizona, Nevada, we could have them out of there in 15 minutes. In California, our hands are tied. This stuff is getting bad.
And it's a waste of our police time arresting a lot of these people, because it's just going to let them cite and release. I've seen people that stole cars, breaking and entries, criminals know, well, right now I just get cited and released and I'll be back on the streets. And it gets so aggravating for our police because they know they're going to have to deal with them 5 minutes later after they get done with them.
Yes, I can't. I remember the story of a cop telling me from Moreno Valley. He said the guy arrested a guy, booked him. By the time I finished the paperwork downtown, just took him down to jail.
Out.
By the time I finished the paperwork in downtown and I came back up here, he was already back on the street.
And probably committing another crime, too. I mean, we've already had that incident happen out here. Police arrested a guy for, I think it was auto theft. And they got released. After he got released out of jail, person came in and broke into Boy's Burgers. Well, she was having a special sale, tweaker special, everything $1. She wanted a job after she just got out of jail. It's crazy. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you're sitting in a parking lot, and all of a sudden there's this deal. Guy running over the cops, chasing, yada yada yada. They gotta shoot him. And I say that we keep letting this society go like this. This is the future we have to, we have to look forward to. And if we don't do something about this real soon, all across the board, like first starting, everybody or vast majority getting on board and recalling Gavin Newsom as a start. We're, as they said, like the old sheriff said in the TV commercial, we're in a heap of trouble, boy.
Yep, I agree with you and him too.
It is. We keep doing this stuff more and more each day, and it just drives me absolutely crazy on that. I didn't get a call. Did you ever? I'm assuming you didn't get your. We only got a couple minutes left. I'm assuming you didn't get your new studio up and running yet.
No, yeah, we're actually looking for another location right now because we were networking with a outfit, and in between the last time I talked to the guy and yesterday, we kind of find out the main person behind the studios that was financing everything has sold it to another outfit. So everything has been put on pause. So I was I'm working with the city right now and some people here in the city about getting another building. And we actually looked at one today. It's going to run us about $600 a month. So once we figure that out where we're going to put it, I've already got all the equipment ready to go in for the studio, the green screen. I just went and spent like $300 and just chroma keying equipment and everything. So hopefully I'm looking at maybe a couple of weeks we should have something, and then we'll be doing our grand opening. I actually called the City Chamber of Commerce and got them put on hold and everything right now. So, but it's going to happen. We're working with some people that's got some buildings out here that's networking with us. So, and then once the sale is final, they got new people take over the studios that we were going to network with. Then we'll be able to start networking with them and be able to offer their services as well through our platform. So, best things come to those who wait. So we've got the equipment. We're just now looking. Actually, I need a little bit bigger area. Once we started measuring for putting up the green screen area, we started to notice, okay, this is going to be a pretty small area to get to the right shots that we want to do, for different angles and different types of videos. So I'm like, yeah, we definitely need to try to find something a little bit bigger that we can shoot into. So we are working on that right now. Once we get that finalized, get moved in it, get it set up, then we will be announcing the grand opening on it. So I do have the chamber on hold for that.
I could tell you all this technical stuff is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
To set up.
I know, I've seen you going through and
yes, and, just wait till you get it all set up, and then you get and I will guarantee you, as soon as you're 2 minutes before you're ready to go on, X, Y, and this plug don't come in, this ain't working. Yada, 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 as you've experienced with me on this stuff. Yeah, and once you get it set up, let me tell you this, the fun is just beginning.
That's it. Then it's working the bugs out of everything.
Yes, and that never, I can tell you, when you got electronics, that never ends until you take 36-pound sledgehammer and smash it all to pieces.
And then you realize it was something simple, that one button wasn't pushed or one switch wasn't flipped,
I don't know how many hundreds of times that's happened. You did it the other day. I finally got the dial working, where you could hear me and stuff. We got about 30 seconds left.
Calling Jesse in,
Yes.
But yeah.
We got about 30 seconds left. Tell them where they can see when you get that new studio up, or follow you whenever you're seeing a police shooting or a meth bust or the man, woman, or whatever that's on the street of that, Eddie George.
Well, if you want to find the crazy news, just follow the crazy guy with the lazyeye.com. That's the crazy guy with a lazyeye.com. That takes you straight to our YouTube channel. Click on our videos, and you'll see everything crazy that we film out here. Also, HemmettEyeNews.com. That's Hemmett, EYE News, like the eyeball, the lazy eye. And you can get our Facebook feeds, even though you don't have Facebook, you'll still get it. Until then, hey, Roy, good hearing from you again. Keep up the good work. Jesse, keep him straight. This is Eddie George, that crazy guy with the lazy eye, and I'm getting out of my chair, and I am off your air.
There you go. That's the great Eddie George of Him at Eye News. And that follow him on that on YouTube, Facebook, Him at Eye News. That is Lori, John, and Alex, and the whole crew over there to keep you up to date on everything going on, happening in Him and anywhere else that he happens to pop up on that. And we look I look forward to the day Eddie George gets his studio running, so I can laugh at him when all the problems and stuff start coming. No, I mean, it is. And in all seriousness aside, it is. You see, it's a constant battle with this stuff. You like you say, a dial ain't turned on, or this comes unplugged, or this little dealie burns out or something. There's always some sort of that. And if you don't believe me or Jesse, you can ask
30 seconds
from KMET, who you're hearing that will be joining here in a few minutes. He has to him and Jesse have to deal with that all day at KMET when they're keeping 1490 AM up and running as they do so much successfully, and I don't know how they do it.
All right, here we go. 10 seconds. King.com.
OEM Supply King. We got it!
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET.
That funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live in the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on the aforementioned AM band. Also joining our vast video audience on IE Newswire on Facebook, Twitch, and the evil YouTube of that Jesse's counting the days before we get kicked off again on that. We had Eddie George from Him at Eye News on the first half hour of that. Catch that with all the stuff we went through. We went through the when police officers, kind of similar, police officers got run over. He caught it on tape in Him at about a week ago. We showed you the videotape with that. To go along with Noah Green, Louis Farrakhan supporter that's reported giving number 4, please, real quick. Here's a picture of Noah Green, who is the suspect in the killing, running over with his car of that in the Capitol, killing one police officer, severely injuring another. And apparently one of the cops have shot him dead. But I wonder why you're not hearing evil white man at the Capitol. We're all getting destroyed. We got to do this. We got to lock down. I wonder how the lockdowns and stuff prevented this, or why we're not hearing that rhetoric. I just asked the question. We went through that. The big meth bust, U.S. Attorney's Office yesterday, coming across the border from Mexico stashed in the Inland Empire in Moreno Valley and Paris, enough meth, 52,000 pounds for a dose for every man, woman, and child in the United States. It was trafficked, then it was spread from here to New York and all points in between in the United States. As I said, if there was ever, let's forget about the immigration or any of that other stuff. If there is one reason, and maybe if we only need one reason why there should be a wall and security at our borders and a healthy, vibrant border patrol that is allowed to do their job, this story that just broke, last night, is it. And it's coming through. If you want to live with cartels running everything, the government backing them up, and you as a subject, and if you want to see, you just have to go south of the United States border into Mexico. You know what the cartels or the cops do if you disobey? They will shoot you and put your dead body in the middle of the public square or in the street as evidence of what happens if you disobey. You have a choice, folks. We ran out of the stuff of that Gavin saying, well, yeah, you can be outdoors at 10% capacity, but if you've had the vaccine, well, we might let you sit shoulder to shoulder in a separate section away from those other people. That's called segregation. And who's practicing it? We had Dr. Leanna Wen. Kelly Victory posted it on her Tweedle feed of that with Chris Cuomo, who just got $4 million reportedly from a book deal. I wonder how much cash is stacked up at the Cuomo family gathering and how they're dividing that up. Just saying. Yeah, if you don't wear masks, we're all gonna die. Well, we only have a slight window of opportunity, and if we don't wear the mask and do as we're told, it'll all come back and we're all going to die again next fall. And it's coming, folks. Football was off the list. Basketball with the kneeling and the LeBron James supporting Black Lives Matter and the whole thing and the whole da-da-da. Now we can scrap Major League Baseball, who just pulled the All-Star game from Atlanta, Georgia, because Georgia just signed into law, one man, one vote. You have to have a voter ID, which has been stamped by the Supreme Court as being perfectly legal. You have to have voter ID. If you request an absentee ballot or you get a mail-in ballot, the signature has to be checked and verified. And we brought to you yesterday the railings of two companies based in Georgia, Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines. Follow the money. The Olympics this year, next, or whenever they're going to have the next scheduled 2020, whenever, are supposed to be in China. China, which, as even worse than Mexico, they can arrest you at 9 o'clock in the morning. They will haul you before a judge at 11 o'clock in the morning. At high noon, they will stick your head in a guillotine and chop it off. That's the justice system in China. We know the human rights violations, the slaves, everything else. Now, Delta Airlines is boycotting or raising a big row about Georgia and advocated for removing the All-Star game from Atlanta, as Joe Biden said, El Presidente, with his housing and health secretary, Javier Baccaria. Let's look at that. Pull up number 4, please. Coca-Cola pays $3 billion for Olympic Games sponsorship. It's an 8-year deal, started in 2019. So who else is sponsoring the Olympics? Well, in 2028, they'll be sponsored by Delta Airlines, but starting in 2021, they are the official airlines of the USA team, and signed a $400 million deal for the next 8 years, again, with that sponsorship, which includes communist China. So, one man, one vote, which is the one of the fundamental principles of the founding of the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world, is persona non grata with the heads of Coca-Cola, mind you, teaching critical race theory, as we brought you a couple weeks ago, to their employees. And Delta Airlines, that is not acceptable to them, but sponsoring flying American athletes into communist China, which violates human rights every second of every day, suppressing the billion-plus people there. If you disagree, off with your head. That is perfectly okay in their book. Now tell me what's wrong with that picture. There is no, and I mean no. Well, maybe not. If it isn't the biggest, if this isn't, it's got to be in the top 3 of all-time hypocritical moves of all time, unless they're part of the deal that they want to turn America into a communist country. That's what they're signaling. They don't want you to have the right to vote. They don't want you to have freedom. They don't want you to have the ability to go to a concert, a baseball game, and watch it, or anything else. Have your kids in school, or anything else. Anyone that buys Coca-Cola products, and I bet you there's a gazillion of them, besides their sugar water, or flies Delta Airlines, is in cahoots with the destruction of America, supporting the Chinese communists, just like Joe Biden is. They recommended, and Major League Baseball did it, pulled the All-Star game from Atlanta, Georgia, over your right to vote. Over the principle of one man, one vote. Because if you do not have checks and balances or verification, then you have no one man, no vote. Any election can be corrupted at any time. It's just like if you have no borders, the drugs and the human trafficking can come over by the boatload. It's just that simple. You see it every day. The evidence is crystal clear. And you look at it each and every day of that, and it keeps going on and on and on. You see, we keep sinking lower and lower and lower on top of the abyss. And it seems like we don't learn our lesson. I don't know. We don't understand history. We're too fat, dumb, and happy. I don't know what it is on the majority of people that are not getting it on the that are not getting this, or how you could support this kind of stuff. Because it is getting absolutely incredulous of what's going on here each day. But we're going to switch topics on there. We're going to usher in the weekend as we usually do on that with a fun event out of Paris Speedway. Saturday night, they're going to have round 2 of the British team style racing, which is a little unique on that, or you don't see a lot out here. Haven't seen it a lot out here lately, but one of the top stars, not only in California, but he's branching out, I think, into Europe on that, but he'll be one of the racers out there at Paris Speedway tonight. Dylan Rummel, welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Before we get to Paris Raceway, I think you have a big announcement about going back and racing in Europe. Is that true?
Yes, sir. I'll be racing for the Plymouth Gladiators.
True. Tell them the difference between racing here in the States versus racing in Europe.
I think, to be honest with you, I'm not too keen on too much. Obviously, it's my first year. When I first went over there for World Cup in 2017, I believe, it was night and day. Especially, here it's kind of a little bit more laid back. We can kind of have a bit more fun with it. While when we go over there, it's kind of, it's more, I guess you could say professional in a sense, but really it's just everybody's on their A game. I think we have a guy, Billy Gennaro, which I'm sure you're familiar with. We have one of those here, and they have, any heat you go out to over there is, guys of that prestige or even more. So, I think the tracks are bigger, more technical, and I think the rider pool is really the biggest difference. There's a significant amount or a significant difference in just the rider pool, let alone how it is here. But yeah, I think it should be cool. It'd be super fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And being able to diversify my, portfolio, you can say, with the racing and all the tracks and all that. I think that'd be the biggest thing, is just be able to ride different tracks with different surfaces, different locations. I think that'll be the biggest difference. But no, like I said, I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, there's no better way to up your game than up the competition level, and I bet you after you come back from that, you'll think, man, you'll be even tougher to beat. Like what's coming up out of Paris Speedway to Paris Raceway in the Speedway bikes on that. Tell them the difference between like scratch racing and team racing that'll be going on Saturday.
Yeah, so scratch racing is just each individual rider goes out on the format provided. So it's pretty much 4 riders would go out in a championship format. It'd be a pool of 16 riders, and then 4 riders go out in the race, and they all race individually for 5 heats, and then the top 8 scores of those go into a semi. The top 2 finishes of those 2 semis go into a final, and the guy who wins it takes the cake. Whereas with the team racing, it's a bit more, I guess you got to be a little bit more team-oriented, as will be when 4 riders go out, 2 of them are partnered up together. So that's kind of more similar to British-style racing, how there'll be 2 teams that go up against each other. For Paris, it's going to be, I believe my team goes, I'd have to double-check with my team, but there's 4 teams right now that are out, or that go out. And then at our first race, we each faced off 1 team and then came out. And that meeting, unfortunately, got called off due to race conditions. It's because it had rained the day before, and conditions just turned out to be a bit too dangerous. But yeah, this one will be going out and pretty much just riding with another guy that's on your team. And the top scorers of that go into a semi. And then I believe from that, it's pretty much like individual. Whereas from the semi, you get one rider from all 4 teams that go into the final.
So you might, when you're at a normal race or stuff like that you see most of the time in the States, if you see something or you see an advantage or you're setting your bike up for something, you're not going to go over to your competitors and say, well, they do this, that, or I found this, or I just out there watch for this. Maybe it's a little slicker on the bottom, it's better on the top. Where in this situation where you're team racing, you might take one of your team members and say, hey, watch out for this, that, and the other. Where typically you would not do that because it's in your best interest to get the most points or get somebody in the finals.
Exactly. Yeah, I think with this one, I'll be on the same team as Brock Nickel. So, I'm not sure. I don't think we'll be partnered up together. I believe we'll have somebody else on our team that we'll be partnered up with, so we can kind of score more points throughout the meeting in our individual heats. But, yeah, that's definitely another big dynamic and a big difference of it is kind of making more teamwork, working with your team, like the people on your team, and trying to pretty much just everybody group up and kind of help each other out.
It is, and it's like this, and I bet she doesn't tell even you that, but it's just my opinion from watching the race out there. Your brother Max has something dialed in on the high groove in there because he goes around there on the high side about better than anyone. But I bet he doesn't even tell you how, his little secret or whatever that makes him do that. Where maybe if he was on your team, and I don't know if he is or on that, he might give you that advice or something out there when on a normal racing weekend he would, he or you or anybody else wouldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. We were teamed up for the best pairs. And that's exactly what we were doing. It's just pretty much kind of pointing out where we thought the quickest line was and just working together on it. Whereas, on a normal night, as soon as we go out, we don't really look at each other as brothers anymore. We're just competitors.
Have you been up to the new track up at Kern yet and raced up there?
Yeah, I've been up to the Bakerfield track. Honestly, I love the track. It had a great surface, a bit of a banking, which made it pretty quick. And, it's similar size to some of the tracks we have. I think it was closer to probably like Industry, but because of the banking, it rode a bit quicker. I'd say it rode almost as quick as Paris.
Wow. That's something. And I bring that up because, hopefully with all the other stuff, we'll start breaking loose on the tracks that are here, but we were adding more in the West Coast. It bodes well for the whole sport that we're actually getting more tracks in. You guys are going to have more opportunities to ride, and that will help grow the sport.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really, I think a big thing to do that as well is just to make sure that there's youth riders coming in. So that way, and I think the main goal is for, everybody here, especially the promoters and everything, is to build the sport here. So that way, I think the main goal of every rider at the moment is to get good enough to be able to go over to the UK and get on a team. And unfortunately, we lose a lot of our first division riders due to that. So if we can give it more of an incentive to stay here and give everyone, more of an incentive to ride and race here, I think that'd probably be the best thing for American Speedway.
It would, and too, yeah, you could do that. Get back to the days when they used to race 6 and sometimes 7 nights a week during the summer, and man, it was just like it was crazy times back then. And I hope someday we'll get back or somewhere close to that. And it looks like we're turning the corner in the sport of speedway motorcycle racing out here on the West Coast, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, no, I think we're heading in the right direction. We have guys like Steve Evans, obviously with COVID and all of that's happened. It's tested a lot of sports, and it's tested, us particularly just because we're already pretty short on tracks and riders. And now with COVID, we couldn't race at Costa Mesa or Industry, which, those tracks are where we get most of our meetings from. So with Steve being able to run Paris, and obviously with COVID and all that, we had to have social distancing, and then we had to pretty much just stay in our pits, and unfortunately we couldn't have spectators, but we were still able to get out onto the track and, spin laps and keep our ability sharp.
You got it, and I think what they are going to start allowing some limited spectators in starting this weekend, and hopefully that grows, and we'll get back to the way it was before this stuff all started. Lots of luck out there tomorrow out at Paris Auto Speedway. It's the Paris Raceway track, the one in the west end of town on that. It's a racy little joint. Great, and you can you enjoy that. If not, we'll put up the link of where you can watch it on pay-per-view. Good luck out there tomorrow night. Maybe we'll see you out there, Dylan Rommel.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You got it. That was Dylan Rommel. We'll be racing out of Paris Raceway, AMA Best Paris Champion in 2018-19, California State Speedway Champion 2018, running with the British-style team racing tomorrow night out there. It will be fantastic. Catch it either way, in person, I hope, or if not, on pay-per-view. There it is. There's the link to it. Put up number 4, please. There, use the link to it if you get to or want to watch the show on from the privacy of your own home. But I would suggest, hey, roll out there and call them up, see roll out there. But I think they are taking spectators starting this week, and hopefully that will increase with all the other stuff. If nothing else, do something fun this weekend. We got to. I know they're trying to take the fun out of everything, but they will not prevail. We will not allow that. We're going to put the fun back into everything because there is no other choice going on. It's been a fun week, about like everything. I mean, again, we're doubling down, it seems like, every week on the news of this and of that coming on. But hopefully we'll be getting some good news coming forth that the recall is on officially by the Secretary of State next week, or maybe 2 on that, that's on. We can start getting out of Gavin's gulag on that, because we need to get back to the way it was before March 2020. So you can actually don't have to think about going to Paris Raceway to watch the races, or going to the beach, or taking your kids to school, or getting to your job, or is this closed if that agency's not open, or yada yada yada. This is a year of this is ridiculous over something as least as just a normal occurrence. I mean, it's part of life. The viruses, flu bugs, colds, dying of old age, and everything else. It's part of the natural cycle. We ain't beating it. You're not going to beat it. You never will. But if they take, it will be a sad day if they take the enjoyment out of living life while you're here on planet Earth. And I, for one, with every last fiber in my body, is going to fight to keep that going, not only for myself, but for the next generations to come, because I don't want to be written in the annals of history that this time period is where we let America slip away. There's that music coming in. Again, have a great weekend. Go out and do something fun, Paris Raceway or whatever. Trips your trigger. And we'll be back here on Monday starting live at 5 to give you all a wrap down of everything that went on. Be back here Monday at 5. Until then, see ya.